Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Morning Offering. Tuesday already? Man, this week is flying by. Ron Finn along with Dave Basheris and Pat Odie Murray here on this feast of the Lily of the Mohawks, St. Kateri Tekakwitha. So welcome to the Tuesday show, which also features, of course, Teresa Tomeo, a little vitamin T coming your way in a little while. Plus, Say Yes to Life, Peter Range will join us, and a chat with Pat today and her guest of Constance Hull. So a big hour coming up, plus, of course, Tuesday trivia that Dave will have for us, won't you, Dave? Yeah, you will.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Very good.
It's
plus,
a themed Tuesday trivia.
Oh, is it?
1972. Look it up. If you've got time, it's all about 1972.
1972. That was a milestone year. And, of course, Dave's Word of the Day is coming up as well. And at the ready, standing by and ready to fill us in, bring us up to date on the news, here's Matthew Handley.
Good morning, Ron, and good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, July 14th. Here's what's happening. Lindsey Graham's sister will fill his South Carolina Senate seat until the end of his term after his unexpected death. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster made the announcement on Monday. Darlene Graham Nordone remembered her brother during the announcement.
My brother was the most amazing person, outstanding leader, and just a genuinely good man. He was kind and considerate and loved by his family dearly.
Graham had been running for re-election in November, and the South Carolina Republican Party will be having a special primary in the coming weeks to determine who will replace him on the ballot. The U.S. has conducted a third consecutive night of strikes against Iran. President Trump spoke from the Oval Office following U.S. Central Command's announcement of the new strikes.
They want to make a deal. They came back. We made a deal 2 days ago, and they want to make a deal. They've been negotiating for 47 years, but nobody's ever hit them militarily. We're hitting them very hard.
CENTCOM said in a post on X that these strikes were at the direction of President Trump and will continue to degrade Iran's ability to, quote, attack innocent civilians and commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. This comes after President Trump says he's reinstating his blockade of the strait. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said the waterway is open and they are only stopping Iran's ships and customers from entering or leaving. The Society of St. Pius X is appealing its excommunication. The group, which ordained bishops without prior approval from the Pope, an excommunicable offense in canon law, released a statement yesterday saying they appealed the ruling to the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith. They also say the excommunication ought to be suspended during the appeals process, citing Canon 1353. At this hour, the Holy See has not responded publicly to the appeal. Lettuce or salad greens may be the source of Michigan's cyclosporiasis outbreak. Dr. Natasha Bagdasarian, the state's chief medical executive, says that information has shown lettuce as a common product that regularly comes up in investigations. This finding applies only to Michigan, which has had over 2,000 cases so far. And a new bipartisan effort is calling for permanent standard time, which we observed usually from November through March. The bipartisan Sunshine for Our Kids Act of 2026 was introduced by Democratic Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon and Republican Congressman Pat Harrigan last week. It would make standard time permanent and allow states to make daylight saving time permanent if they choose to do so. Congress is already considering multiple daylight saving time related pieces of legislation, and it is unclear if this latest measure will rally the support needed to be passed. I'm Matthew Handley and Ron Finn. That is the news this morning.
Well, thank you very much, Matthew. I appreciate that. And, of course, we all do, because now we know what we didn't know before. That's always nice.
Oh, there you go.
A lot to cover in the world. Now, of course, we've been talking a lot about, these huge crowds that come forward, pilgrimages, Eucharistic pilgrimages that have drawn so many people. And there's a lot of Catholics out there that are just anxious to kind of get out and band together. I love to see this.
Well, and look, there's a story out of Brazil. The Brazil's Basilica Shrine of the Divine Eternal Father draws 4.2 million people. I mean, this is 4.2 million people, and the Pope's not there. I mean, you could see it if the Pope was there, but this is an annual event. 4.2 million pilgrims participated this year in the traditional pilgrimage of the Divine Eternal Father in the city of Trinidad in the Brazilian state of Goiás, once again making this one of Brazil's greatest expressions of faith. One of its if we can get 4.2 million people, but this is amazing. And to hear the stories coming out of this, but even the background and kind of how it grew up, it just makes you so thankful to be a Catholic.
Yeah, I was quite impressed. It's a 10-day walk from June 26th to July 5th. And they traveled to this Basilica Shrine of the Divine Eternal Father.
Yeah.
And to give, obviously, thanks for answered prayers and present their petitions. I have never heard of this basilica.
Right.
I want to kind of look this up because, like the article mentioned, we hear of a lot of pilgrimages to Marian sites,
right,
or even our Eucharistic pilgrimages that we took. But under this title of God the Father, you never really hear much about that.
Right.
I mean, you might hear about the Trinity but so I was really kind of taken by that. But I love the idea that one of the pilgrims said, I come out of an awareness of the Father's fatherhood.
Yeah, right.
And which you writing a book,
right,
Dave,
right.
on this should
Maybe
speak to you,
that's
right?
why it struck me. This
right.
morning.
Of the Father's love for us and for all the people here without distinction. We are loved equally by this Father simply because he created us and not because of what we do.
That's amazing. It's interesting, too, that this pilgrimage dates back to the 1840s.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I mean, a peasant couple,
years.
they find a small medallion with the image of a Holy Trinity crowning the Virgin Mary. And so, 186 years later, still honoring that.
And that's what struck me, too. Is you read about the origin. Okay, so this peasant couple finds a small medallion with the image of the Holy Trinity crowning the Virgin Mary, and that leads to 4.2 million people participating in it this year.
Yeah.
For us, normally for us, it's this gigantic miracle, the miracle of the sun. You've got this thing, this dramatic thing. No, the peasant couple finds this image, and the devotion is so strong. The love of our God, the love of our faith. And you have to say this. These are Catholics getting together to worship together, to worship the Father together through the great gift that is our Catholic faith. 4.2 million of them. And I just have to say, that's fabulous.
Yeah. I wonder, I'd love to look up the route for this.
Yeah.
10 days, so I'm wondering how long
Right.
that is. But man, I got to check this out because this, like you said, Dave, we never see these kinds of numbers.
Right,
Yeah.
Sounds like the Camino or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they all go back home after, and they're talking about it all the way, and then they're talking
absolutely.
about it there. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Let us turn to Scripture now. Dave Vacherus has our word of the day for today.
Our word for today is firm, taken from the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 7. In the days of Ahaz, king of Judah, son of Jotham, son of Uzziah, Rezin, king of Aram, and Pekah, king of Israel, son of Ramaliah, went up to attack Jerusalem, but they weren't able to conquer it. When word came to the house of David that Aram was encamped in Ephraim, the heart of the king and the heart of the people trembled as the trees of the forest tremble in the wind. Firm our word for today, brothers and sisters, and what we're seeing with the kingdom of Judah is a testing. Will the Lord God protect them? Can they have faith in his protection? It goes on. Then the Lord said to Isaiah, go out to meet Ahaz. Now again, Ahaz is the king of Judah. Go out to meet him and say to him, take care you remain tranquil and don't fear. Let not your courage fail. Thus says the Lord, this shall not stand, it shall not be. This shall not stand, it shall not be. Again, now we come to that sentence where we draw our word for today. Unless your faith is firm, you shall not be firm. Unless your faith is firm, you shall not be firm. And here's the thing. There's only one way to know if my faith is firm, and that's through the testing of that thing. Brothers and sisters, we see it in so many areas of our life, in our education, in our sporting, anything that we choose to engage in, We see if it's firm by the testing of that thing. And then we continue to practice and we get stronger in that thing. Who in the world would think that faith life is going to be any different than that? If our faith life was always smooth without any difficulty, if there were never any rough waves in the water, how in the world would we learn to become stronger and stronger in our faith? How would we learn to become more and more dependent upon God? Now, dependent upon God and learning that we are completely dependent upon God should build that trust, right? If we know that the difficulties in life that come our way are testing, they're not because the Lord God has walked away from us. In fact, he wants to pour out his grace upon us in an even greater measure. And so these tests are ways for him to do that. But be sure of this, again, from the book of the prophet Isaiah, a little later on, chapter 54, every weapon fashioned against you shall fail. Every tongue that brings you to trial, you shall prove false. This is the lot of the servants of the Lord, their vindication from me. Yes, an acknowledgement that tests are going to come is not an excuse for us to say, well, the difficulties come and I'm just going to allow myself to kind of roll with the punches. No, that's when we stand and fight. That's when we hold our ground. That's when we refuse to back down. That's when we say, I know who the Lord my God is. I know who he has made me to be. I know that he has a future for me. I know what he has called me to do in my life, and I will not walk away from that because difficulties have entered in. No, I believe that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. No wagging tongue shall have its way. No, the Lord is my redeemer. He is my vindicator. I know I can trust him that at the end of the day, there will be great victory. And the enemies of mine, particularly the enemy himself, the enemy of us all, the liar and murderer from the beginning, he shall be chained, brothers and sisters, and his work shall come to nothing, because we can stand firm with the Lord our God. We can stand firm on his promises, and in that way we can show that our faith is firm. Firm, our word for today.
Ooh, stand firm. I love it.
Oh, I love it, Dave, because every morning when I do my morning prayer, any little thing that jumps out at me, I write down so that I can reflect on it later.
Yeah.
And that was one of the sentences I wrote
good.
down.
That's good.
Unless your faith is firm, you will, you shall not stand firm.
Yeah.
Because, boy, do we need to stand firm. And you can, that idea of it is our faith that gives us the resolve to do it.
Yeah.
And, boy.
And saying it isn't enough.
No,
You've got to
not at
back it
all.
up. Hey,
Yep.
Belief is not enough. The evil one believes that Jesus is the Son of God, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
Yeah, if
No,
you're not
no.
standing firm, you're probably going to get swayed by the wind, right?
You got it.
All right, we're coming back. Vitamin T coming your way. Annunciation Radio would like to thank Masick Custom Builders for providing underwriting support. For more than 25 years, Masick Custom Builders has been offering custom home construction and renovation services throughout Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan. You may reach Masick Custom Builders at 419-861-7773. Online at MasickCustomBuilders.com. That's MACEK CustomBuilders.com.
The Catholic Church teaches that Jesus Christ is literally and wholly present, body and blood, soul and divinity, under the appearances of bread and wine. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 11, verses 27 and 29, "Whoever eats the bread or drinks the cup of the Lord unworthily will have to answer for the body and blood of the Lord. For anyone who eats and drinks without discerning the body eats and drinks judgment on himself." To answer for the body and blood of the Lord meant to be guilty of a crime as serious as homicide. But how could consuming mere bread and wine unworthily be so serious? Paul's comment makes sense only if the bread and wine became the real body and real blood of Christ. Examining the truths of the Catholic faith, this is faithforensics.org.
Thinking about separation or divorce? Retrouvaille is a Christian peer ministry designed to help troubled couples regain the health of their marriage. It helps spouses reawaken the love, trust, and commitment that originally brought them together. Retrovi has helped tens of thousands of couples around the world. To learn more about Retrovi or to register for a weekend near you, call 1-800-470-2230 or visit us on the web at www.helpourmarriage.com.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
Yeah, the day that really the feature is a lot of heat in most areas, so it's just a hot pattern going on right now. But welcome to Tuesday's edition of Morning Offering. Ron Finn along with Dave Vacheris and Pat Odie-Murray, so we welcome you to the show.
Yeah, so glad that you are here. And we're about to do this. We're about to get a shot. It's the only time you get a shot with a smile on your face. But it's time for a shot of vitamin T. It's time for our weekly conversation with the only Teresa Tomeo. Good morning, Teresa.
Hey, Teresa.
Buongiorno, amici. How are you? Come stai? You good?
Yeah, doing good. I understood buongiorno. I don't understand the
Come
rest.
stai just means how are you? And then your response, and if you're doing well, you say bene. And if you're doing really well,
Benny or Benny?
molto bene.
Benny.
Grazie. Yep.
Okay, great.
Now, what's the second one? Because I always like to answer in the very positive.
So molto bene. So I'm doing
molto
really
bene.
well. So
molto
you know,
bene.
yeah.
Oh, like it. I like it. All right, that's my new phrase.
Yeah, what's the Italian word for mediocre?
Fair to mid. Fair to mid.
Half and half. So. Yeah.
So.
Well, how is the Holy Father doing? He's on vacation, right? So-called. Goes to his vacation place. He's once again taking up residence. Pope Francis had kind of turned this into a museum. Now back to a place of rest in a cooler area, right? For our Holy Father, Castel Gandolfo.
It's such a special place. It's only about 30 minutes south of Rome, and I really try to tell folks, and we're actually going there with Dr. Bunsen for our In the Footsteps of the Pope's trip in October because it has so much history based, in the papacy. It's such a beautiful place, and not a lot of people go there. Now that Pope Leo is there, and as you mentioned, Pope Francis, he did open it up to the public, including the Vatican Gardens, which are gorgeous, and there is a museum, and that's why our current Holy Father stays in the Barberini Palace, which is right there. He'll probably move back into the main area, but I think he'll still keep it open as a museum. I mean, it's large enough to do that. But it's a very beautiful area, and what's nice about it is if the weather is really warm, as it is now here in Italy, we are topping 100 degrees all week long. Whether it's in central Italy, where we live, or down in Rome, which is even warmer in the city. It's a great place to get away because it's in an area known as the Alban Hills above Lake Albano, which is a gorgeous volcanic lake. I don't know if you saw some of the pictures that were on Vatican News or the EWTN news site this weekend of the audience. You see him coming out on the balcony, and right behind him is Lake Albano. It's so pretty. But it's a great museum, too, and it has so many different things belonging to previous popes, such as John Paul II and Benedict XVI. John Paul II loved it so much there that he had a pool installed because he loved to exercise and he loved the outdoors. So it's a very pretty little town, a lot of great restaurants where you could eat outside. But the views from there, from that little lake, it's not so little, but I mean compared to other, waterfronts in Italy, but it's just a very special place, only about 30 minutes south of Rome. You could take a train, you could take a bus, you could hire a driver for relatively inexpensively, a trip down there. It's well worth it, but it's really got a lot of history in it, so it's really cool. Yeah.
A chance to go there yourselves with Teresa Tomeo and by the way, Dr. Bunsen as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and he really wanted to include Castel Gandolfo because of the history of it and how many popes had stayed there. It really is the vacation home of the popes, and Pope Francis just, it's a personal choice. He just liked to stay in Rome at the Casa Santa Marta, which is right behind St. Peter's. But I'm really glad he's going back there because the town was actually, the Pope is going back there, the town was actually really struggling economically because the main reason people would go, obviously, would be hopefully to get a glimpse of the Pope when he's on vacation or just to be there knowing that the present Pope spends time in this beautiful little town. So I guess business is booming there. The gift shops are doing well again. The restaurants are all excited. And he's been doing so much with the local community and making it a real personal visit. He's already met with the local priest from one of the parishes there. He had a beautiful lunch with the poor in that area. So it's a really cool thing. It's just great to see.
That's wonderful. Now, how long is he usually there?
Well, this time he's staying until the 27th, so he's got another, 12, 13 days, right? So that's nice, and hopefully it sounds like he's going to give himself some R&R. I mean, he's the Pope, for crying out loud. So, it's not going to be like sitting on the beach somewhere. He's always going to be working. But he did speak in his beautiful Angelus message on Sunday about the importance of slowing down and making time for prayer and time alone with the Lord, especially in the summertime. So I just wanted to encourage people, if you are going to Italy, even if you're not coming with us in October and we still have a few seats left, if you're going to Rome, take a half a day, get out of the city, go down just 30 minutes to Lake Albano, the Alban Hills, and visit Castel Gandolfo. There's some wine towns in that area as well. One of our favorites is Frascati. They have a great crisp white wine there. It's just a really unique experience.
Speaking of the pool, the swimming pool that Pope John Paul II put in, tell me if this the story that I heard is there was much consternation about this. He got some words of discouragement regarding him putting in the pool, and his response was, basically, the last guy lived 33 days. I got to keep myself in shape. So I don't know if there's truth to that, but it also points to the fact that our popes need leisure, right? I mean,
yes.
Pope St. John Paul II had hiking, he had swimming, he did those kinds of things. What are you familiar? What is Pope Leo's what's he drawn to from a leisure perspective?
Still plays
he likes
tennis
horseback
weekly.
riding. He likes tennis, and he has a horse there. I can't remember the name. I think it's Proton. Matthew and I were talking about this last week. But he does horseback riding, and he also likes, as Ron, as you said, he likes tennis too. So, yeah, those are his two favorite activities. So he's going to be spending some time on horseback, and also, I'm sure, playing tennis or pickleball. I don't know. He likes those kind of activities, from what I understand.
But no Donkey Kong or Mario Brothers.
As far as I know, if I get the tip, I'll call you. It'll be exclusive here on Annunciation Radio.
I wonder in those sports where people, where it's you have to play with somebody or against somebody, like tennis or pickleball, like, do you let the Holy Father win?
Yeah, that's great. How do you do that, right, Pat?
Yeah.
Do you get like 25 years in purgatory if you beat the Pope?
Yeah. Yeah. And if you let him win, do you get indulgences? That's what I want to know.
There you go. That's a good question.
Yeah. Because that would be kind of intimidating.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be fun. I would think though that he's so laid back. I think he'd have a good time with it.
What else is going on in the life of Teresa Tomeo?
Well, I'm kind of sad because Deacon Dom and I are wrapping up our spring/summertime here in the motherland. We head back home on Monday, good Lord willing, and then we'll be home for about 6 weeks only, and then we come back.
Yeah, right.
in September. But I'm really excited because the pilgrimage, we've been in touch with Matthew, and things are really coming along, and it's just going to be such a great trip because we have a little surprise that we've added to the itinerary related to St. Francis, because this is a year of St. Francis of Assisi. And so if people are still interested, you can still book. And I think we have about 4-5 seats left, and we're really excited about the turnout. So just go to my website, teresatomeo.com, to the events section, and you'll see the brochure. You can download it. You can call corporate travel. And we're just super excited because it's going to be such a great trip.
Yeah, look, and here's my thing. If you have this special opportunity to go with not only you but also Dr. Bunson, and it appears to me Dr. Bunson's getting a call any time now to go be a part of a dicastery at the Vatican, right? Because all the papal coverage people from EWTN are now heads of dicasteries.
Yep. Well, I kind of hope that doesn't happen. Then we'll never see him. Now we're not going to see Monsi anymore because she's going to be so busy.
And Monsignor Landry also is there now.
And Monsignor Landry. It's like, this is crazy. But it's a good sign, though, because as I said, when Monsi received that wonderful opportunity, which she'll be taking up that office in November, this to me is a great sign because EWTN is being recognized. For years, we were like, oh yeah, that religious station over there. Now the secular media are coming to us on such a regular basis. And also, the media cracked me up, though, because when Monsi got the position and made big news, it was all over the place. Great. They were talking about this is how Pope Leo cares about women. Very true. And then when he said no to female deacons and priests, they were like, oh, he doesn't really care about women. It's like, make up your mind.
He only cares if you do it the way you want it to be done.
They want to.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
I was on EWTN television a couple weeks ago, so I sent a note to the Vatican saying, I'm available if you need me.
I'm available.
I've been on
I'll
there.
Move to Rome. Yeah.
And Teresa Tomeo said I could even stay with her for a minute while I find a place.
You can. Yes, absolutely. Offers available for all of you.
TeresaTamio.com. Is that the best place to get signed up for the pilgrimage as well, Teresa?
It is. Just go to the events section on TeresaTamio.com. And don't forget to get the new book on St. Francis, Italy, Shrines and Wonders.
What a
Volume
great
2.
book, too, because you
Oh,
get
thanks.
immersed.
That was a great
in all
interview,
of it.
Ron. I really enjoyed being with you.
Well, we certainly enjoyed having you on for it. So, all right, Teresa,
Great stuff.
thanks
Well,
for checking in
talk
from
to
Italy.
you from Michigan next weekend.
All right.
Feeling
Mama.
healthier and better already with that shot of vitamin T.
Yeah, Michigan, that's Little Italy.
Yeah.
Some parents try to comfort themselves with the line that kids don't need quantity time. I give them quality time. That's all that matters. And you know, quality time is important, but you know what's even more important? Lots and lots of time. I had an uncle when I was 6 or 7 who used to sit next to me on the couch and watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I doubt he was really into that show, at least not as much as I was. That wasn't quality time, but it was quantity time. And that's some of my best memories as a 7-year-old. Not because it was such an amazing quality time, but because it was time with my Uncle Dan, who was telling me something just by sitting there with me. You know what lots of time communicates to kids? It communicates you're worth it. You're worth me, as a grown man, just wasting time on. It communicates that that kid is valued above whatever other important adult stuff you have to get to. And you just can't communicate that by little scheduled bursts of quality time. This is Chris Stefanik from Real Life Catholic.
Shop with a purpose at your St. Vincent de Paul Toledo thrift store, now located in the Airport Square Shopping Center, right next to Pet Supplies Plus at Airport and Reynolds. Shop and save on a huge selection of quality, gently used clothing, housewares, and lots of unique finds. Every purchase helps us help our neighbors in need. We welcome your donations of clothing and other items. The St. Vincent de Paul Toledo thrift store, Airport at Reynolds, open for you Monday through Saturday.
When you think about your child's school, what comes to mind? Good teachers? A supportive community? That's what we deliver with Partnership Schools.
I love my school because it makes me proud of myself.
For me, it's the sense of community that Partnership Schools gives me and my kids.
We are Catholic pre-K through 8th grade schools welcoming families of all faiths that allow you to pay nothing for quality private education. To learn more and to apply, visit thepartnershipschools.org.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
Well, there's always something to celebrate, even if it's just a Tuesday. But, of course, we celebrate the feast of the first Native American saint, St. Kateri Tekakwitha, left orphan, permanently scarred, and, of course, made a conversion in her early 20s. She lost her parents at a very early age and had a when she died, all of the marks, the pock marks on her face, from the disease,
disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and look at the difference that she made in the lives of so many others through her authentic faith, people in her villages and the people familiar with her. So thankful for that.
She died at like 24.
Yeah. Yeah, very young.
Sometimes I hear how old these saints were when they died, and I'm quite embarrassed. I'm like, oh my goodness, I've had 60 years, and I haven't done 1/10 of what they've done.
Right.
With better opportunities.
I always think about, I wonder, if when you die young, hopefully you didn't have a chance to do a lot of bad things.
Well, that's true too.
Because because sometimes the longer you live, you can kind of stray off the path.
That's true.
So I don't know. Whenever your time's up, God calls you home. That's just the way it is. So we got to always be ready.
Yeah,
so
and
that's the story.
For the Christian, death is such a it's a balancing act, right? I mean, someone told me the other day about someone who died. I know that they were a person of faith, and all I could do was celebrate. I thought, wow, how fabulous for them. Then, of course, there's the pain that those who are left behind are experiencing, that loss and all.
Yeah.
So you have to balance it. You don't want to go, throw a big party. But in my mind, in my spirit, I'm going, that must have been a nice encounter when he met the Lord. But
Absolutely.
then there's pain. So
Yet to come here on Morning Offering, Peter Rains from the Center for Christian Virtue will be joining us with a chat about the pro-life issues, Say Yes to Life. And, of course, a chat with Pat coming up. And you got a great guest today, Pat.
Yes, Constance Hall. She's been on before, and I've had her on The Virtuous Life, but we're going to be talking about an article that she wrote in Catholic Exchange, Children Are Never Too Young to Know Christ.
Boy, I love that.
Yeah.
Speaking of death, it's time for purgatory. It's time for Tuesday Trivia. This one wrapped around the year 1972.
Ooh.
The major events of 1972.
Ooh.
And I bet you guys are going to do well in this one.
I'm going to ace this one.
Which event? Oh, I like that you said that. You're really confident with that. Okay. How many people were born around the world in 1970? No, I'm just kidding. That's not what
I was going to say. Maybe not ace.
Yeah.
Which event marked a major political scandal in the United States in 1972? Was that the Iran hostage crises, the Watergate break-in, or the Bay of Pigs invasion? Which of those happened in 1972?
Well, that was Watergate, wasn't it?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I think that was Watergate.
Because I know that Nixon resigned. He resigned on my birthday, and I think it was maybe 73. So I think all that happened in 72.
Yep, I think we're both going.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right. Bay of Pigs in the 60s. Iran hostage crises, of course, late 1979,
70s.
78. It was Watergate break-in in 1972. That was the major political scandal in the United States of America, of course, involving President Nixon.
And, of course, it was all exposed by Forrest Gump.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, so that's 1 point each, Ron and Pat. Here we go with question number 2. In 1972, which spacecraft became the first to leave the asteroid belt on its journey toward deep space? The first one to break free of the asteroid belt, was that Voyager 1, Pioneer 10, or Apollo 17?
Wow.
I have no idea.
I
Ron.
don't really know either.
Say them again. I don't think it was Apollo, was it?
Voyager 1, Pioneer 10, or Apollo 17?
Now, see, the Voyager and the Apollo I'm pretty familiar with, so it's got to be that middle one. That
Pioneer?
Yeah.
Well, what did Voyager do? I've never heard of Pioneer, so that's why I was leaning toward Voyager. So what do you know about Voyager, Ron, that tells you it's not that?
Nothing. It's just a familiar. I know I've heard of that one. And the middle one, what's it called again?
Pioneer 10.
Pioneer 10. So I'm going to go with Pioneer 10.
And you said Voyager 1?
Yeah, Voyager 1, Pioneer 10, or Apollo 17.
I'm going to go with Voyager just because I've never even heard of Pioneer. So I would think in the 70s I might have heard of Voyager 1.
That's true, too. But that's interesting. Two different directions here because I'm going with Pioneer 10 because I never heard of it. And you're avoiding it because you never heard of it.
Yeah. And we were both alive at this time,
Yeah,
right?
we were both pretty old, yeah.
Now, Apollo 17 and Voyager 1 both took place after this. So,
oh, really?
Voyager
Okay.
1 is humanity's most distant space probe, the first human-made object to enter interstellar space.
Okay.
But it didn't launch till 1977.
Oh,
Pioneer 10 was the first one to break the asteroid belt.
There
And
you
of
go,
course-
Ron.
Of course,
All
Apollo
right.
17, the last crewed flight to go to the moon. Last group to land on the moon was
Wow.
Apollo 17. Yeah.
Huh, so I get the bell.
You get
Yep,
the bell,
there you
right?
go. Nicely
Good
done,
one,
Ron. All right, here we go. Question number 3. Which movie won the Academy Award for Best Picture in 1972? Was that Cabaret, The Godfather, or French Connection?
Say it again. Won the best picture for 72?
Yep, in 72. Cabaret, The Godfather, or French Connection?
I have no idea, Ron.
I'm going to go Godfather.
Well, since I didn't agree with Ron on the last one and I was wrong, I'll agree with him on this one because
Well,
I'm clueless.
I'm never right twice in a row, just so you know.
And you are right that The Godfather won Best Picture, but in 1973, French Connection in 1972.
Oh, you're playing the year game again.
I figured
okay.
if it's fair for Ron to do it to us.
Oh, come on, Dave.
Yeah,
I expected more from you, not less. More from you.
I knew that one would get you. Cabaret the year before that, so it really was, yeah. All right, here we go. How many people were killed in the Munich Olympic massacre? Of course, that took place in 1972 at the Olympic Games.
Right.
We had members of the Jewish team that were killed. How many Israeli athletes and coaches were killed in the massacre? 11, 7, or 15?
I think 11.
You got it right. That's exactly right. I'll give you both a point on that.
Yeah,
Tragedy
I get
of
the
tragedies
cool.
at the Olympics, but 11
Oh, that
was
was
the right
awful.
number.
Boy,
Excellent.
that sticks in my
Yeah,
head.
yeah.
That was a I was glued to the TV. That was
Changed a
just
lot of stuff
awful.
for us. Yeah.
I think we had that on Today in History, too, at one point. All right.
then-
Thanks, Dave.
Hi, everyone. This is Bishop Daniel Thomas, and I want to thank you for strengthening your faith by listening to Annunciation Radio right here in our Diocese of Toledo. May God bless and keep you.
Join me, Shane Stanfield, and Ron Finn on Annunciation Radio's Faith with Reasons, Wednesday at 4 p.m.
We'll go deep in the Bible on our next show with Professor Peter Sibilio, the Bible teacher at Lourdes University.
Annunciation Radio wants to thank Archbold Furniture Company for their underwriting support. A faith-filled company with roots in the local community, Archbold Furniture has been manufacturing solid wood furniture since 1900. They build the furniture and partner with premier Amish finishers where it is hand-finished to match the decor of your home or office, offering everything from beds and dressers to cabinets and dining room tables. To learn more about their products and to look at their virtual showroom, visit archboldfurniture.com.
Courage, an apostolate of the Catholic Church, ministers to persons with same-sex attractions and their loved ones. They also have an outreach called Encourage, which ministers to relatives, spouses, and friends of persons with same-sex attractions. Endorsed by the Pontifical Council for the Family, our beloved John Paul II said of this ministry, "Courage is doing the work of God." Please visit the Courage website, couragerc.org, to learn more and find a Courage chapter near you.
We invite you to join us each weekday at 3 p.m. here on Annunciation Radio for our Hour of Grace and Mercy. We begin first with the praying of the Divine Mercy Chaplet. Following that, we have Mass from Rosary Cathedral. This is an invitation to set some time apart in prayer and reflection with us, your friends here at Annunciation Radio, for this Hour of Grace and Mercy. Share your prayer requests with us at chapletprayer@gmail.com.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
And we are so thankful that you are starting your day with us. Ron Finn, Dave Vacherus, Pat Odie Murray here on the Tuesday Morning Offering program. And, of course, immediately following our show, Teresa Tomeo, who we just heard from a little bit ago from Italy with Catholic Connection. And, of course, Dr. Greg and Lisa Popchak with More to Life today, talking about things that aren't your fault and getting blamed anyway. So are you okay to, be the scapegoat, or would you like to put a stop to it? They can help with that today for sure.
Sounds good. Hey, we it's time for a conversation with a man who is worthy of many accolades, worthy of many honors. But not many are going to make it onto the bio, and not many are going to make it into the obituary. But this one will, because he is the recipient, he will be the recipient of the 3rd Annual Faithful Warrior Award this coming November. It's the one, the only, Peter Range. So welcome to the program, Peter, and thanks for letting us honor you this coming November at our banquet.
Well, thank you so much, David. I really do feel honored to be receiving such a prestigious award, so really tremendously appreciate it. And my apologies for missing last week. Every once in a while I just leave my kids completely alone to make sure they can survive by themselves. So that's what I did to you guys last week. The fact that you survived, gives me great hope.
We're growing up. We're growing up.
We're still limping, but okay.
Good. Well, three things I just want to cover this morning. First, from Zealy News. I don't know if you guys saw this, but kind of quietly happened without a lot of big fanfare or anything of that nature. But the federal Medicaid reimbursements to Planned Parenthood facilities for non-abortion services resumed July 5th after a one-year defunding provision enacted by President Donald Trump's 2025 Big Beautiful Bill expired. So that one-year ban signed by Trump on July 4th of 2025 prevented Planned Parenthood from receiving roughly $800 million in annual Medicaid reimbursements. Of course, we know money is fungible, so if you're getting reimbursed in one area, you have more money for other services like abortion. And Planned Parenthood now stands to regain access to hundreds of millions of dollars in federal matching funds. That's our tax dollars that will be funding the abortion giant. So very, very, very disappointing that we did not see Congress act in this regard to make sure that Planned Parenthood was defunded once again.
Peter, any plans
secondly,
for revisiting that? Is there a legislative way to end that funding again?
Yeah, absolutely. We can certainly come right back at it next year when it comes to, funding the government, and that could be a provision that pro-life congressmen or senators say, hey, we will not sign on to any funding of the government unless there's a defunding of Planned Parenthood. So, that's something that, when we go out and we talk to our elected representatives, and it's why it's so important to meet these guys, when they're just running for office, when they're running in primaries, and say, hey, look, I know you want my vote, but I need you to commit to defending human life, including defunding Planned Parenthood and supporting every pro-life bill that you can. We can have a major influence by forming those relationships early on, and if they break those arrangements, then they don't get our vote. But if we're not engaged and we're not active in the political process, people think, well, they don't really care. My constituents don't care. I don't hear from them. They're not talking about it. And so it's really important that we're engaged and let them know that we want them to defund Planned Parenthood. So call the local office of your congressman or your senator. They have offices set around the state of Ohio, around the state of Michigan, wherever you're listening. You can call your congressman or senator and tell them how you feel about this particular issue. Secondly, wanted to cover as well, out of Ontario, this case just, we're going to have to spend a few segments kind of diving into this a little bit, because I want to get it back into our segment about the case for life in the Word of God that we began 2 weeks ago, because we had a Democratic Senator, James Talarico, out of Texas, that came forward, and he's supporting abortion based upon the Bible. So he's using the Bible to justify his abortion views. But this is another issue. When we look at surrogacy right now in our world, we have to address this as well, because we have a same-sex couple in Ontario who just sued their surrogate mother. So they themselves, because they're same-sex, could not have a child. So they hired a surrogate to carry a child to birth for them. She refused to abort that baby when that baby was diagnosed with a cleft lip. So it's a relatively minor and easily correctable condition with surgery, and they believe that there could be other things wrong with the baby. But the mom said, no, I'm not going to abort this child. It began when the child was about 22 weeks along, and it showed the baby with the cleft lip. But the mother said, no, I don't want to have this abortion. So she ended up having the child completely healthy outside of that cleft lip, which, again, can be addressed with surgery and some therapy and things of that nature. But because she did not abort the child, they are now suing the surrogate mother for $600,000 because she violated the contract and did not follow their particular wishes. So, this is the world that we're living in right now, where children are just seen as a human commodity, and women are just being used. So you talk about Handmaid's Tales and all the fear-mongering that the left does if, we pass pro-life bills. Well, we're literally living in ourselves into the dystopia of a world where women are just being used for their wombs, for these kind of same-sex couples or whoever else might be trying to have a child. Having a child is not a right. It is a tremendous gift from God at the end of the day, and that's what we learn in the Holy Scriptures. And so to return, if we could, to the Holy Scriptures as we finish our segment today, to begin to dive in, well, what did the Holy Scriptures tell us about the Word of God? So first, our approach to the Holy Scriptures is always a grand reverence for the fact that all of Scripture is inspired by God, and it's useful for teaching, for reproof, and for correction. So that's 2 Timothy 3:16-17. And in fact, the Catholic Church teaches in Dei Verbum, the Word of God, in 1965, that the books of Scripture teach solidly, faithfully, and without error the truth which God wanted to put in the sacred writings for the sake of our salvation. So first, when we've talked about it on the show, the dignity of the human person based upon Genesis 1:27, that each and every one of us are made in God's image and likeness. But I think there's three things we can kind of glean from the Holy Scriptures when it comes to, principles that the Holy Scriptures teach us. So the first is this, that life is a divine gift, a divine gift. Psalm 127 says, sons are indeed a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb, a reward. Proverbs 17:6 says that grandchildren are the crown of the aged. And even though we were still sinners, Christ died for us, Romans 5:8. The second thing I think we can glean from the Scriptures, which is a principle, is, given life as a divine gift, you shouldn't murder it. You shouldn't kill it. And that's right from Exodus 20:13. You shall not murder. And Genesis 9:6 says that whoever sheds the blood of a human, by a human shall that person's blood be shed. And then you have the case in Exodus 21 where you have this discussion about if there's a fighting between two people that injure a pregnant woman so that there is a miscarriage and yet no further harm follows, the one responsible shall be fined what the woman's husband demands. So if there is a situation where a woman is hurt who's pregnant, the husband determines the punishment. So more to come in the Holy Scriptures, but some Scriptures to spend some time in to share with your family and friends. The Bible is clearly pro-life, and we need to proclaim it today.
Very true. Thanks, Pete. That was great. Yeah, these stories of people contracting for children are just... years ago, there was a couple in New York that contracted, had twins. The surrogate had twins, and they only wanted one.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll be right back with a chat with Pat.
This is Dale Ahlquist with a Chesterton Minute. Have you ever heard the church criticized for defending celibacy? What about for defending marriage? Have you ever heard it accused of showing contempt for women, but also sneered at because only women go there? Have you ever heard it attacked for asceticism, but also for extravagance? How about for being dull? How about for being too garish? How about for being too worldly or too unworldly? Or insisting that people confess their sins, or showing too much mercy to sinners? Notice any contradiction among the critics? G.K. Chesterton says, here's a broad and simple test. If you hear a thing being accused of being too tall and too short, too red and too green, too bad in one way and too bad also in the opposite way, then you may be sure that it is very good. Want more than a minute? Chesterton.org.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
Well, a way to start the day on this Tuesday, reminding us that the week is just flying by already. Man, I just love it.
Yeah, here's the thing. So much has happened just during this hour program, and so thankful for everyone who has been a part of it. But still, more to come, because it's now time for a Chat with Pat.
Yes, and today we have with us someone you've heard before, and you've also heard, if you listen to The Virtuous Life, it's Constance Hall. She's a wife, mother, spiritual mother, writer, speaker. She's served in pro-life ministry, Seven Sisters, and other ministries dedicated to praying for priests and seminarians, campus ministry, director of faith formation. Boy, I could go on forever. She contributes to Catholic Exchange, and that's what we're talking about today. There's an article in Catholic Exchange, and it is called Children Are Never Too Young to Know Christ. And I love this. Welcome, Constance, to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Pat.
Oh, well, this was a great article, Constance. So, and you wrote it with your daughter, Michaela. So my question is, what kind of led you to kind of talk about this and write this article?
Well, the credit really has to go to my daughter, Michaela, who turns 15 next week. She's becoming a young woman and devoted follower of Christ. And she had this experience where someone she was working with in ministry was talking about how there's not a lot of need to try to push kids in evangelization because they're too young. And I've encountered that as well when I was a director of faith formation. And she was rather incensed. So she started writing it, and then I read it, and I was like, hey, why don't we write this together? We could publish it with my normal Thursday contribution to Catholic Exchange. So I went through and kind of added some theology and some things in, but it was really her that was motivated and inspired to write it.
Well, one of the things, she relates a story about when she was small. And how she kind of stood up for the faith. Can you share that with our audience? I thought it was great.
Yeah, we were very proud of her. So in second grade, she was in a Catholic school at the time, and they had a substitute teacher, and they were about to go to daily Mass. And the substitute teacher told all the students in preparation for Mass to eat their snacks. And our daughter, knowing you have to fast at least 1 hour before receiving Holy Communion, told the teacher, well, we can't do that. We have to fast. And he went and talked to some of the other teachers and made the decision to have the students eat their snack. And she tried to explain it. Nobody would listen, so she refused to eat her snack. And the students were kind of making fun of her, but she stood, firm in her knowledge of what we're supposed to do in preparation for Holy Communion. So we were very proud of her.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I think that is so great. And another line jumped out at me in this article, Constance, and I want you to kind of give us some insight into this. You mentioned the idea what young people, what children crave, in a sense, is authenticity rather than programs. Can you give us some insight into that? What does that mean for us when you're saying authenticity rather than programs? Because at times we tend to be the next new program that comes along, we jump on board.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of us are trying to figure out in the church. When I was a director of faith formation, the priest and I, when we were trying to revamp our program, realized that a lot of them were just not working. And I saw the same thing with my daughter when she would go to religious formation, and she's homeschooled now, so she takes classes through that. But, kids aren't really looking for entertainment per se, because that doesn't really drive home the message. We also realized that, especially young kids, by creating programs that seem more like school, they disengage. And so what kids are really looking for is us living authentic lives of discipleship, deeply in love with Jesus, people of prayer, people of service, who radiate the light of Christ. And they can see that. They can see us trying to live that versus us just trying to entertain them and to provide programs that are just fun but lack the rich, deep encounter with Christ and the church. And so I think that a lot of times our programs fail because they come across to these young people as, okay, this is just something that I have to check off the list and just to entertain and fill time. And instead, what they want to see is people boldly living the faith.
So, Constance, why do you think we underestimate the faith of children? Why do we think, well, they're too young, they don't get it? Is it because sometimes I think we're too much engaged with the mind and not the supernatural, that there's something else going on? I'm not even sure how to describe that. So I want you to kind of take a shot at this for me.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think that, and I was like that for a long time where, yes, St. Paul tells us, we need to put on Christ in the renewal of our mind, but that doesn't mean that we stay there.
Right.
And it's only in the mind. No, it's when the Lord transforms our hearts and our soul, the very depths of our soul, that we're truly transformed. And so that has to be accomplished through the supernatural virtues and through the gifts of the sacraments. But I think sometimes we don't think that the Lord is operating at a supernatural level. We're kind of like, well, if we just give these doctrinal facts, then that'll do it. Well, no, there's supposed to be a loving encounter with Christ that does act supernaturally. I mean, I've seen amazing, things happen in the supernatural life. I've seen people healed. I've seen people delivered. I've seen lives completely transformed. And that's, the message is Christ has come to truly heal and deliver and save us. And I think that we are not living that faith boldly. And in many ways, we over-rationalize it, and then kids disengage because they naturally are filled with wonder.
Yeah.
So if you tell them of Christ's miracles, they're going to believe it. But we kind of downplay it like it's embarrassing. It's like, no, this is our faith. This is like God is acting in incredible life-transforming ways, and we should be giving that to our kids so they believe in the supernatural, not just a list of facts. It's like, I can learn about Abraham Lincoln, but I don't actually know Abraham Lincoln because he's dead, but I can know the living God.
Right.
And so if I just give people facts about Jesus, then they're not in a supernatural relationship with him. Instead, there needs to be both. Like, here is like what we teach in the church, but we also live supernaturally, and the Lord is acting with the Father and the Holy Spirit right now, not just 2,000 years ago.
Right. So it kind of sounds, Constance, like obviously the family is the heart of this helping kids with this relationship with Christ. But every now and then, and Carlo Acutis, St. Carlo Acutis is mentioned in your article, every now and then we get people like him where it doesn't feel like there's much support in the family. And he's the one at like 7 years old that kind of takes the lead here. So how do we kind of reconcile that, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think it's twofold. When I was the director of faith formation and then in campus ministry, one of the great problems of the age that I see is parents are not evangelized. Mm-hmm. And so we've kind of dropped the ball in formation because we haven't evangelized parents who are the primary catechists, and they're the ones who should be really teaching their children the faith. And so there's that piece of it. But then, yes, I've also encountered a lot of my college students who are coming from families where their parents didn't practice anymore, or they've converted from Protestantism or other faiths, even Islam. And that's just the work of the Holy Spirit that the Lord, desires to call them to himself in his mysterious plan. So I think it's kind of twofold. Like, God is always operative even when it's not perfect conditions, but we can help by creating good environments.
Well, Constance, thanks so much for taking time to be with us today. I really appreciate it, and have a great week ahead.
Thanks so much, Pat.
This was a great article. I would encourage parents, I would encourage everybody to read it. Children are never too young to know Christ. And it was written by Constance Hall and her, at that time, 14-year-old daughter. And she is a wife, mother, spiritual mother, writer, speaker, lots of jobs within the ministry. I would encourage you to read it knowing that, yes, children are never too young to know Christ. And how do we help them form that love of God in their lives and give them the strength that they need? And it ties right back to our word of the day, right? Firm.
Yeah.
Unless your faith is firm, you shall not be firm. And I think so often we undersell kids. They can't do it. I look at some of my great nieces and nephews, and they are firm when it comes to fasting and things like that. It's wonderful.